Congress hit a major setback today as they race to pass President Trump's big, beautiful bill, a massive tax and spending package. The Senate has set a self-imposed deadline to approve by July 4th. That's all while lawmakers are trying to move through other important business, like approving more of the president's nominees to top positions. This week, that included Emil Beauvais, a high-ranking Justice Department official who's been tapped to be a federal judge in New Jersey. Senate Democrats, including Senator Cory Booker, accused the judicial nominee of lying during his confirmation hearing Wednesday and said Beauvais is unfit to serve on an appeals court that represents the state. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Ben Hulak is here to shed some light on what happened. Ben, good to talk to you. Among the many things that you've been reporting on this week in particular are where we stand with this reconciliation bill. The parliamentarian apparently dealt a blow to the Senate version. Can you just give us an update on what's been happening, where things stand?
Yeah, there's a slew of moving parts at this point. The parliamentarian, as you pointed out, stripped out some big portions of the House version, I should say. At this point, the two chambers are trying to get together to mash up and blend their opposing visions into something that could become law, and that's really tricky. There is one faction of the Republican Party that wants deep cuts, as I've spoken about with you before, across the board, really. And then there's another more moderate faction that really does not want those cuts to be as deep. In particular, that group is worried about Medicaid. I spoke with Jeff Van Drew, a South Jersey Republican, on Monday, and he said, as is, he would not vote for the Senate version if it were to come back over to the House. And he estimated a sort of ballpark figure was that there were 12 Republicans in the House at that point who would not vote for it. That would be enough to tank this bill, which is, of course, the centerpiece of Donald Trump's entire agenda. And the Senate may be in for a weekend session. There's a test vote in theory scheduled for tomorrow, and then the House could come back as soon as Tuesday. But they're all rushing toward the self-imposed July 4th deadline. And there is nothing binding Republicans in both chambers to do that. This is a deadline they've set for themselves, and they really want to get out of town and get this done beforehand. But there are some serious roadblocks to making that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I know the president has said, no one goes on vacation until this gets done. But I was talking to Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman yesterday, and she also expressed skepticism about that timeline. What is it looking like realistically?
At this point, the Republicans don't have the votes publicly in either chamber, it seems to me. There is blowback on SALT provisions. That's a tax deduction from a lot of Republicans in the House from more moderate states, blue-tinted states politically. And the timeline is really up to the Republicans. As I said, the smell of the jet fumes is strong, and members want to leave. But if Trump is demanding that they stay, they have a long way to go to get some sort of deal.
All right, let me switch gears quickly. The piece you wrote about for today was a pretty tough session yesterday in the Senate for a nominee for the Third Circuit, Emil Beauvais. He faced a grilling, really, particularly from our U.S. Senator Cory Booker. What's the big issue, the main issue Democrats have with his nomination?
Yeah, and Booker wasn't the only one who asked some tough questions of Beauvais. He is up for a Third Circuit appellate position that covers New Jersey, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. The main issues Democrats zeroed in on, I would say, boil down to three broad things. One, Beauvais' involvement in the firing of people who prosecuted the January 6th attacker cases, his involvement in dismissing charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams, which has been described as a sort of quid pro quo. The idea being that the Trump administration would drop charges against him in exchange for favorable immigration policy from Mayor Adams. And then the third bucket is really this pattern that not only Democrats have laid out about Beauvais, but people who've worked for him. This pattern that dates back years and years of him as a really inflexible and unprofessional lawyer. I got more into it in my piece that ran this morning, but those are the broad buckets.
Yeah.
Do they have the votes to block him? Almost certainly no. They would need 4 Republicans to come on board and vote with all Democrats, assuming every Democrat votes against the Beauvais nomination, but that's the lay of the land.
Yeah, and as you said, it's a lifetime appointment. You can read Ben's reporting on this and everything coming out of the Hill on our website, njspotlightnews.org. Ben, thanks so much.
Anytime.